Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
Andrew went to GameStop, but he'll be back.
To GameStop?
Yes.
What for?
Um, I think to take back our Connect that wasn't working so well.
Oh, like from the 360, or did you guys get it?
From the original 360 that we had.
Oh, okay. Why do you care? Nobody uses those.
Why do we care? That's why we took it back, because it doesn't work.
Yeah, but there's no good games to use for it. What's the point?
Yeah, to get money for it. That's the point.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So let me pull up the Tampa Bay Comic Con thing.
Well, I mean, I may or well, actually, I did. There's no may or may not. I downloaded like
There is no try or try. Do or do
I
not.
I downloaded, and this was more like, oh, you know, it's probably going to be kind of crazy again. And, you guys basically are like in the worst position where I built the last, year or so that you guys were gone,
Right.
meeting all these people and like building up all the like stuff on Facebook of all these people in Tampa. And then, so you're like, oh, who should we even talk to or say
Right.
hi to or anything? So I downloaded onto an Excel file the entire like exhibitor list
Okay.
and then just highlight a bunch that I at least know, I think for sure that we've had some interaction with in some way,
Mm-hmm.
just so you guys could like have an idea of like who to look for, because like all this stuff related to like there weren't any like artists that I'm like, oh, you guys should go check that out for me of like a comic artist. I mean, it's nothing,
Right.
you know, or and like all the guests, it's pretty obvious, there's not that many guests, so you want to talk to any of them or not.
Right.
Oops, I keep doing that because the freaking camera is.
Is it the one
Uh,
on the laptop?
yeah, I'm using my laptop. Now I see why people use like webcams because it makes like a way horrible angle for like your actual like computer.
Oh yeah, it's awful.
Um, because
How
I
did
didn't know what
yeah.
you guys were gonna do as far as if you were gonna try to meet anybody or just at least probably go to panels. I'm sure.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't even had a chance to look to see what's going on.
Okay.
Okay, that's Friday. Scroll down to Saturday. They were only open until 6 today, so it didn't make any sense to even try and get down there.
What's that?
They were only open until 6 today, so it didn't make any sense to even
Yeah.
go down there.
Which is why I thought it was odd that I think at some point today they had posted on their Facebook page that they had moved like the place or the time for like they're trying to set like a Guinness World Records for like the most like superhero cosplayers in one place.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, are you guys doing that today? Why wouldn't you be doing that tomorrow?
Right. Worst time to even try that would be today because anybody that would even try and do anything wouldn't be doing it at all
Yeah,
today.
and that's well, I was
People,
trying to find it on the site, like what day they were doing it, but I couldn't find it.
well, it's hard to find anything in this PDF, honestly. Um, because it says Saturday, but I don't see where the Saturday actually starts.
I had to go to like the convention events, and then
That's
that had
it
just
has
on the
PDF.
website it was easier to read than the actual PDFs and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, they have a library game. See the lounge. Oh, here, it's live.
No, it's live.
Here,
So I'm being stupid and dancing.
let me move this a little bit.
Oh, you just killed your.
I don't need this on screen right now.
Hello.
Here,
Hi.
look at her cool.
Whoa.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
and
thought you
then
were wanting me to look at it. I was
no,
like,
not you. And then like our whole really you can't see it all right now, but like that's all the craft and cosplay
Oh,
closet.
nice.
Let's see.
it was $11, so I just got credit.
Okay.
Because cash would have been 8.
Okay, that's fine. I don't care. Um, Not really much of anything tomorrow morning. I don't see at all where they are having the contest.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. I mean, they list the contest later, but I don't know.
They have a Q&A with Gimli on Sunday.
Ooh.
That's about the only thing really interesting that I saw.
Well, do you want to send that Excel over?
Yeah, I'll send you that over. Yeah, I mean, the guests are pretty good, though, I have to say.
They are. They have some great guests for being Tampa Comic Con.
Yeah. But they had some pretty good guests since they got started, but I think that's because it's like many of these organizations in general now, they're basically becoming little mini businesses, and they've got some buying power if they are you on your work computer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to send it through work email. So I mean, hopefully there's at least, one of the the Game of Thrones panels you guys could go to, because the pictures are obviously pretty expensive, but
yeah.
And they got the two girls from The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Two of the guys from X-Men.
Sweet, come here.
Help if I know where I stored that.
They have a penguin knife fight.
Penguin knife? What?
Yeah, you heard that right.
A penguin knife fight? What?
Yes, it says it's a comedy show, but they call it Penguin Knife Fight.
Oh, all right. Okay, I just sent that over.
And again, Penguin Knife Fight, improv comedy.
I almost wish I had now thought about it, and it's a little obviously too late. I wish I had tried to get some of the. I have some shirts I bought for you guys. I wish I'd had time to make them, and I could have sent them down for this weekend.
You couldn't have filtered to these only?
They're sorted at the top.
It's only the yellow ones?
Yes.
I will filter out the.
I hate sending files that are filtered. Okay, it's a habit. It's a habit because work. If somebody starts sending stuff filtered, then you miss something.
You have to unfilter it and then you have to use stuff, right? But I don't care about the other stuff. I only care about our stuff. Well, Mark Delaporte actually knows some people in the 51st, in the 501st.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. I don't really know any of those people, but I think I just highlighted it because they usually have all kinds of stuff going on, and they're right. You can pretty much guarantee that they've got so much, so many people, social media. I mean, they're already, within an hour of them sending out the DragonCon progress report. I remember seeing on their Facebook page, they're like, oh, I guess we're expected to be there now because they were on the cover of from the parade.
Right.
And it was okay, that's just hilarious. And they've always been at that one, and they have a really strong presence in that whole area in general.
Right.
Because of especially now or just the last couple of years with Star Wars and Orlando and everything. So
yes,
they will probably have something you can get your picture with or something.
What about a Design Geek? Is that yours?
Yeah, so you might have seen it, but they've worked a bunch with the JMD retail people. Because they met at one of the cons, and they even so he does a lot of posters that are very minimalist.
Okay.
If you look we had we liked them on our Facebook page and stuff, and they helped with they even what?
I just took it stopped and it was a perfect little screenshot of your face.
They do posters that all like kind of minimalist like logos. So what is it? A three-eyed cow?
It's a harvest moon cow.
Oh, it's the nose. Oh, nice.
It's the creepy Harvest Moon cow.
It's a creepy harvest moon cow.
It's got like a kind of like that cow from like the Kevin Smith movies vibe going.
The best part is the uber
God.
puppy tail.
Nice. Where's the udders though?
There are no udders,
Oh,
but it's got a pink little thing, so I'm assuming it's a girl.
Nice. But they helped do a bunch of stuff with like they made some posters that they're kind of designed, but they're based off like certain Funkos that they gave away and did a bunch of stuff with them for like that whole like vending machine thing those retail guys did. So I've at least met them. I like pretty much I follow like him on Instagram and like all his pictures and like all their stuff and so it'd be good to just say hi or get a picture with them.
Right.
Just because I kind of figured if you guys you don't even have to do like reporting, but if you just get a bunch of pictures that we can like post the same like later tomorrow night and the next night that we can like tag everybody in so that it just kind of feeds with the popularity of that weekend, that couldn't hurt.
Right. I plan on doing a lot like during it too, hashtagging whatever little hashtags.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean it's like that's a good because there's only going to be so many it's not going to be crazy like DragonCon where we're going to practically have to wait until like the whole weekend is done to even try to like sort through it all,
Right.
So that's why I kind of figured, I'll just give them, a list of like, because I know there's, like that one artist that Steven, let me open this back up. I know that like Daniel Grainsall, I think, was somebody that you guys bought some stuff from, I think.
The Danielle.
Yeah.
Have at one point. There's the guy we bought the cat cutouts from. I don't remember his name, but he does a lot of stuff through the Doctor Who Hub.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what his was. And like the Nerd Tag Me, they've been at a bunch of like the previous Tampa Cons. They got some cool stuff. Obviously, like there's Heroes Haven and Read More Comics. They're the one in Brandon and the other one's like in Tampa. They're they've got all kinds of stuff. I followed that Scott Blair guy because he was at cons. That Steven Swift Whitmack, he's the guy that did like the cool like Doctor Who like vodka posters. So he has a bunch of like cute kind of. I have some other stuff I bought of theirs that's like they got like good cartoony stuff. And I mean besides like the main guest, I mean I wrote I figured you guys would have seen that like that one Heather 1337 girl.
Yeah.
Like the Chive is there. Yeah, so that was pretty much it. So I just figured, between that and like going to some panels and and just taking pictures of people like cosplaying, you guys would have plenty to do.
Oh yeah.
But I think I kind of more thought of it as in terms of, hey, let's try to grab at least some pictures with some of these people because we can tag them on Facebook and stuff later, and it kind of feeds the Facebook part because at this point, I'm sure if we individually talk to all those people, they'd all be like, yeah, we kind of hate Facebook at this point. I mean, I know those cosplayer people do.
Yes.
No matter if they're selling their boobs or not, but
Yeah, well, there's a good reason to hate it at this point. I mean, even for us, we can post something and it be something very small and it can reach everybody. And then we can do something even if it's just to Facebook, just a status update with a picture, it will only reach maybe 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
There's a reason to hate them at this point.
Oh, yeah. But it's also, it's a bad business model that really can't get any better. And I mean, Twitter, I don't know how Twitter's ever going to make money. From what I heard the other day about how much they've lost, like $122 million last quarter.
God.
They've gained like exponential in the last 4 months the amount of users. Mm-hmm. So obviously more and more people of a wider, space of people are using Twitter. I mean, right. Just a couple years ago wasn't even using Twitter is weird.
Well, yeah, I wasn't either, but I mean, to think about even with that, what do people pay to use it? Nothing.
Right.
Where's the ads coming from for that? I mean, where's the ads? That's
the story I had heard the other day. It's like, yeah, they could sell like, ads like or post like Facebook.
Right.
The more people did that, the more people are going to get turned off if all of a sudden everything on your Twitter feed is promoting some movie or some random like software or whatever. You're going to be like, well, this is weird. This feels like an ad basically, and people are not looking for that
right
instant gratification. So they need they probably need a more YouTube-like model maybe where you actually watch ads every 10 minutes or 20 minutes on they would have to change the way that like the actual look of the site is.
Right.
Because you can't stick ads in the corners, obviously, at this point. So you would have to maybe have it be literally like as part of your, login, like every 20 minutes or every hour or every fifth time you log in, you watch like a 2-minute like trailer for something and actually are presented an ad, but then so it's more like like a YouTube where you're at least watching an ad. You're not being like it's not being hidden into any sort of into the content,
Right, which is what it is now. Right. No, right. I get what you're saying. It could easily be turned like, I see their messenger to do a group message to have a small video or anything like that for something to pop up as opposed to, the way it is now. Nobody likes it.
No.
I don't.
And as much as people complain about the Google or the YouTube ads, it's very efficient. It makes people lots of money.
Right. And you can skip it through a certain amount, which is crucial.
Right. Or and there's some that are like 30 seconds, and I've even noticed more and more, like if I'm listening to like a playlist I've created,
mm-hmm.
like when I'm in the shower and it skips to the next song, it literally will play like a 2-minute trailer of some movie unless I skip it.
Right.
Which is like, okay, well, I guess, why not? I mean, because I was able to post earlier today, and I hadn't shared it with you guys yet because I screwed it up making it private, but I posted like a minute-long clip of my cats just hugging and licking each other.
Uh-huh.
So that seems kind of boring. Like, it's cats. I mean, that's like all over the internet. But then I was like, hey, I wonder what else I can do with this thing. There's a huge catalog of free movie or free music that you can just like quickly lay over top of your video and just get rid of your audio.
Right.
Because I had the TV on and I was like recording like I was watching like Comedy Central, so it was really like stupid like audio, and it's like, hey, I wonder if I could just put some like sappy music over it or like like a R&B, like they're making out or something, and I was easily able to. And
so there's some Barry White in on it.
What's that?
There's some Barry White in on it.
I know. I wish it was like that specific of like you could type in. That's immediately what I thought, but it was a lot of like generic composers or probably people that have given away free music, but it was pretty extensive of what I was trying to. I just put in. I was like, oh, I'm gonna like. I can't think of anything specific. How about I just put in like buddies, because it was, two of the guy cats, and I just found this like whole bunch of like music that just had the word buddy in it. And it was really easy to do. It took like an extra hour after I did it to like say it was completed, but all I did was say like overlay it, and it put it over the whole thing. I didn't have to like cut and paste, or I had the option to, but I didn't have to do much editing software where you might have to like trim the ends and put it at a start and stop. It just put it underneath it and completely took out the other audio. So I mean, obviously they've got like the tools are like they're investing back in the tools, I guess is my point. So they're making it very easy for like more people to get involved to make more money.
That's good. That's a good thing to do.
And it's, I mean, supposedly there's one guy that's like the #1 ranked YouTuber for anything on, and he's like a Let's Play kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
His name's like PewDiePie, and he's like this, and he makes funny videos that are like of him playing video games, and he's kind of got like some sort of like Swedish accent, so it's even funnier. But he has like somewhere of like one of his last videos like 4 million people or something like that. And like if you do the math, like some other website did the math, and he's making like at least almost like $500,000 like a month on an amount of like videos because of the sharing revenue. I mean, it's crazy.
Right. Good God.
Yeah. So.
That would be awesome.
So yeah, I mean, I figured if you guys can just cover, if you want to make it easier on yourself, and we want to come up with a plan. I don't really have anything planned the rest of the weekend on purpose because it's just been vacation and like thing after thing lately.
Yeah.
So what's that?
We know how that is.
Well, not the vacation.
Not the vacation part, but we know how thing after thing after thing.
So, I mean, I can stick around, if you guys want to, like, let me know or, like, come up with a plan. Like, if you guys want to, dump a bunch of, like, pictures after you guys get home, if you guys are there a long time, and I can just start putting stuff up right away tomorrow night, we can go that route, depending on, and then you guys can just kind of post things while you're there during the day, because obviously, you're not going to have access to Wi-Fi, so you're not going to be able to like send me all the pictures, throughout the day. So.
Right. But we'll do what we can, and we'll post pictures as we're doing it too, if we can.
Yeah. And that way, I figured I kind of was hoping, because we still have enough people I know, or like the spread of people that are associated with Tampa, that maybe if we get enough content like up on tomorrow night, we'll get some more people interested who might go check it out. I can share it with other people I know still down there that they'll maybe go.
I know people being from here, had literally from the town I'm living in, that are going to it as well. So.
I didn't check to ask. I didn't ask back if. I don't know if Jonathan was going to try to go or had any interest to go. I should text him right now. My other friend Kaylee, she's doing something else this weekend.
Well, I know some of the people I went to high school with is going, and then I think one of the winners from our giveaway is going one of the days. I just have to find out when.
Oh, okay.
Which would be cool to take a picture with.
Yes.
So, that is what I'm thinking.
Okay. That is cool. That works for me.
So, while I have you, DragonCon, we are actually driving up. And we're probably going to drive up until like Thursday night-ish, so we can be there right when they open to get in line.
Wait, hold on. You're gonna drive up Thursday night-ish?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we originally were just going to fly up, but we were going to be up there around 9 o'clock with the way the flights were working out and the way Andrew had to take time off. So it just made more sense to fly at this point than with the check bag fees and the parking fees, and it just started to get insane. So we decided to drive. So whatever you want to ship that you don't want to put in your bag,
Yeah.
here, we'll just take up with us.
Well, let me ask you this, because I was looking at some of the registration stuff the other day, and then I was looking at the media stuff today, even a little bit. I think there's a thing, because like if you guys are talking about like kind of cutting it close of when they're gonna cut off the line, I think there's a thing for like the badge.
I think we were looking at just going in Friday morning to get the badge.
Oh, okay.
We're not going to make it on Thursday to get it because with him being so new at it, at his company, there's no way he can take all day off on Thursday. So he's able to take a half a day.
Well, are you guys already bought your badge?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm pretty sure, and I can find it and send it to you later. I believe there may be a cut. The cutoff may have already occurred.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe there is a form you can send them, and that we can bring along that basically lets you have other people pick it up.
Really?
Basically, it's like a letter saying I approve, and I think you have to actually have like a copy of your driver's license kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have to like send me like a scan or something like that. But yeah, I can't remember when I looked at that. I think it was just the other day because I think they had posted something about that like last weekend they had opened up like selling of like some individual days.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, I'm curious what that's about. And then I looked and it was like, oh, here's like this whole thing about how like if you can have other people pick it up for you. And I'm like, how did we not know about that before?
Right.
It's been really useful. Aw.
This whole time it would have been extra useful.
Yeah, I'm gonna find it right now because it's gonna bother me.
Because I went to it when you were talking about it, and I'm looking for it. Pre-sales.
I think it was one of the things I found like buried in
On-site memberships.
like buried like, or it had been tweeted out by like another like department or something like that, like one of those.
I'm gonna look in the convention policies.
I think it was under the store maybe.
Because that would be fantastic.
Pre-sales.
Hey, Houdini. Do you want to be part of it too? Yeah. I don't see it under the store. Archives maybe? Past? Yes, publications. History?
Let me see if I can. Let me find it in the on their website because I think it was a Facebook post I had originally seen. Pre-sale on that. Person. Oh yeah. Under the daily DragonCon. Here, I think I can actually like share. I think I can share links somehow.
I'm gonna say, oh, is it on Facebook directly?
Here, I think I can share you like I just shared a link to the chat.
In here?
Yeah, in the Google Hangout.
Mm-mm.
Did it show up?
If it was on a computer, I would, but I'm on the iPad and then the computer.
Oh, okay. Let me...
Take a screenshot and send it to me.
I'll just send you it. Let me...
I found it.
Andrew found it.
Yeah, okay, so it's like, to be able to pick up someone else's DragonCon membership badge, you need a copy of their government-issued photo ID, their barcode confirmation postcard, and a signed permission slip from that person which reads something to the effect, I, Sally Fangirl, give my permission to John Fanboy to pick up my badge.
Oh.
So basically, you would have to mail, like, a scanned copy of, like...
I could just fax you my ID to your fax number.
The main thing would be, and this would where I would say you probably want to copy it just to be safe, is send the, because it kind of sounds like they want the actual postcard, so you would want to copy it and then send the actual like postcard.
They want the actual postcard, not just the barcode.
I think that it says their barcoded confirmation postcard.
Okay.
So that basically I think they're saying like lessening the chance, because if you have that, it already kind of implies that you are somewhat legit, because nobody would be throwing that away.
Right.
You know, that's not that's what you're supposed to bring anyways, so because we're going to be there in the afternoon, so we've got like plenty of time to stand in line.
Right. That is a good idea. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that would make the Friday a lot easier to work with too.
Yes. And then that way, yeah, not only can you start Friday, but then you guys can just worry about like getting to the hotel first, or the condo or thing or whatever first.
Yeah.
Because as we know, even with, well, I gotta imagine it's gonna be bad Friday, even if you already had pre-registered, and not like that first year where we hadn't pre-registered. Because we were there pretty early in the morning, and we still went through 3 hours of line. So.
Right. Well, last year
we
went through 3 hours of line. You drove.
Okay, well, yes, that is true.
Let's not lie here. Let's not make everybody think that you were standing in line with me, Andrew, and Teresa. No. We were standing in line. You were driving like a bat out of hell because you forgot your boots.
True.
And didn't wake up with your alarm clock.
Hey, I got like stuck in a vortex that is, Voldesto or whatever.
You got caught in the vortex that is the innate chaos of traveling.
True.
Leave your keys anywhere.
Right, you just didn't leave your keys at Hulk.
The mummy.
True.
The mummy.
Yeah.
The mummy. Excuse me.
Well, it's not like I left them there where I literally was like, oh, hey, I'm just going to, hang them up before we go on the ride.
He just thought, let me put them in my pocket without buttoning them.
Right, I'll put them in my pocket.
Which, I mean, it is kind of funny because it's been a long time since I've lost keys.
I find that somewhat hard to believe.
No. I mean, it's been quite a long time since I've lost keys. I've done plenty of, locking myself out. I did one time lock myself out of my car.
I've done that while it was running, so I
Yes, no, it was while it was running.
Okay, good.
Have you ever got your car stuck in the snow?
I have not got my car stuck in the snow. Have you gotten your car stuck in the snow? Your new car?
Yeah, I got it in Christmas time, or last November. I got it stuck.
I remember this. What we're talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, if you live in Michigan, you will at some point have you will get stuck. It doesn't matter how good of a driver you are or not. You will deal with something that you can't get through unless you literally own a giant truck.
Hi. I've not told anybody about losing the keys on the mummy at the office, and now I feel like I should tell everybody.
Yeah, that's Problem. Yeah. I don't think anybody would be surprised.
Oh, I know they wouldn't be surprised at all. Matter of fact, I think Deb would go, yeah, sounds like Nate.
Into some. Oh.
Yeah, if it wasn't already 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right, if it wasn't just so stinging late.
Getting hung up on. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I'm gonna at least go out tomorrow, and there's.
Are you seeing yourself smiling and eyes closed?
Yeah, that was weird. Should have caught up by now. I'm gonna go check out. There's like Marvel Day tomorrow, like at Barnes and Noble.
Oh, that's been doing a lot.
What's that?
Oh, for your membership. Oh, hey, Miss East me.
Yeah. It should work now.
You
Like
your buddy.
Aw.
We shaved him.
I know it doesn't look like it, but...
It doesn't look like it, but we shaved him.
Oh wow. Yeah, he looks a little like. Aw.
How am I gonna get down?
Come on. Come on, sweet. He's shaved. It doesn't look like it, but he is.
Yeah, you can kind of see like from like towards the neck down.
Yeah, he looks sick. But I was asking, you're going to Barnes & Noble because you're a member now of their little club thing.
Yeah, well, and they got Marvel Day tomorrow, so at least go check it out because there's probably more free stuff they have. So.
Probably. Also, are you going to go see Guardians of the Galaxy?
So yes. When is what is being determined?
Oh, okay.
Because she works the whole weekend, and so we were going to go maybe like on Sunday night because I kind of don't want to deal with like crowds tonight and tomorrow, like during like the evening. So I think we're going to maybe go. She doesn't work till like noon tomorrow, and they're not really going to have like a really early showing to be able to make that work like in the morning.
Right.
But I think we're going to go tonight, later tonight. We might go see Lucy, and then on Sunday. So the hard part for me is going to be avoiding what sounds like every other person trying to spoil like some like ending of the movie that, in addition to them already saying that like Thanos shows up at the end, that there's some other ending to it that's like got something to do with something.
No.
He's not at the end.
What a lie they're telling you. We've seen it. It's fantastic.
Okay.
It moves naturally. The humor that comes through is very natural. Like with the Avengers, sometimes it seems like it's very forced because they're forcing people together that have nothing to do with each other. You know what I mean? Like with Tony Stark and Thor, like they clash, and that's where the humor comes from, and it's just not.
Sure.
Very forced. The humor, it rolls perfectly. You at times there are fills, at times there are laughs, and it's perfect in the way that it just goes. It's wonderful. It's really worth it.
Well, they've been releasing like the first image of Josh Brolin as Thanos. They make everybody. I haven't looked at any of the stories, but they've just all been implying like that he's in Guardians of the Galaxy somewhere.
Yes.
Okay. But then there's some other there is some other ending like after the credits thing that is different though, right?
Yeah, at the end that it's with the collector totally different.
Okay.
It ties in with the movie like normal. Like at the end of the movie something happens and it's not Thanos at all.
Oh, okay.
But in the movie, like he's talking on a big screen to somebody and then he does show up in it. But I mean he's in the movie, but it's not. They have not ruined anything for you.
Gotcha. Yeah, because it's really confusing. Because they had him show up at like the Avengers 2 panel last week, and he had like the Infinity Gauntlet and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not the villain in that movie, so I don't know where they're like they're just introducing him to like say like he's gonna be in Avengers 3 or.
Yeah, it's
Guardians of the Galaxy 2, it's kind of hard to like determine what they're saying he's going to be in.
Well, apparently Guardians of the Galaxy all signed on for 2 or 3 movies, so it's probably just the Guardians of the Galaxy.
That makes sense.
But it's heavily everyone's assuming he's going to be the bad for Avengers 3.
See, I mean, I guess that's
slowly showing the different pieces of the gauntlet, the different gems.
right. But that's kind of the weird part is that when you have Guardians of the Galaxy in that world, like it works just as well to use them as like him the villain as it would be to the Avengers because
well, they're already talking about doing the crossover.
Yeah, see, I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do that because in the context of the comics, all that stuff with Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet, it wasn't like the Avengers versus him. I mean, they had already had it was a bunch of other, cosmic Marvel characters in
pretty much everybody against.
Right. It wasn't just those they were all in space. I mean, so they're gonna have to come up with a reason that like Earth is an interesting place, which in the DC universe they finally basically came up with a couple different reasons why Earth is such a big deal to all these advanced races. Well, like it turned out it was like the center of the universe in a way because there was the Green Lantern people had the White Lantern Corps that was the epitome of life, and that thing was hiding on Earth.
Right.
Well, was Loki's staff a piece of the
gauntlet?
Did it have a gem? Because that's still on Earth.
I think they are trying to imply, instead of it being like literally just a bunch of like gems, that I think they're trying to imply it's kind of like a
mind gem or something.
It's that kind of movie trope where like here's all these cool individual things, and then they all make one big powerful thing.
Okay.
Like there is a in the comics there is the cosmic cube, and there is an infinity gem that relates to like infinity or cosmic or something. But they've never been like, oh, well, this thing makes that be that gem. Like they were never, it wasn't like, oh, this thing can just transform into all these things. It was literally like a bunch of gems. So
that would do it, not like, oh, look at this really cool staff, and then I got this, put it all together.
I just figured staff was had one of the gems in it, and
inside of it,
and with it still being on Earth.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think they gave him back. They have. What the heck did they do to the rest of the cube?
Because I know the Tesseract's with Thor in them.
Yeah, the Tesseract is back. So yeah, the only thing that's kind of like a visible, accessible thing is that staff.
And the Ether is with the Collector.
Which with the Collector being in all the movies, would that not be a reason to do the crossover?
Yeah, I mean they're trying to set it up that like it's got some weight to this world that because for a long time not so much in the Marvel world but like in the DC Comics world you literally would have all these different space adventures and nobody would ever live in the same inhabited world. But when you try to set up like, okay, well, even though Thor's world is all these planets and they kind of have this mythical old world been around a long time, they're still basically in space. So it's okay to set up that Thor's world is the same world as all these like Guardians of the Galaxy's world. They don't have to be independent just because they feel like they don't really fit into the same, It's like kind of saying like, yeah, probably if like Star Wars and Star Trek all existed in the same time frame, it could just be the one universe. It doesn't need to be like separate universes.
Right.
Like there's enough universe out there
for it to be different galaxies.
Yeah.
Now, in the comic for Guardians, were they in the same time frame or were they future?
No, they've always been around in kind of the same running time frame as everybody else. Like it's never been like a future like compared to like a.
Yeah, because I was just confused because I had seen stuff like Earth 616, so I just thought.
No, that's basically implying that's like the considered like the main universe for them,
Mm-hmm.
so that there are alternate versions. But yeah, the Guardians have always existed in that the same universe that like Spider-Man lives in.
Just a different galaxy, basically.
Yeah. The main and you can almost think of it. It's very carbon. They're both carbon copy, like the whole Nova Prime and the Core and everything. They're
Mhm.
basically they've been treated more like the Green Lanterns of Marvel.
Okay.
Okay.
That there's an actual like giant cop force out there.
Just not as.
Yeah.
Oh,
But the main thing has been like, and I wish I had started reading them years ago, but like it was only probably about, less than 5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer than that, like maybe about 8 years ago, that they really locked in on a good version of like the Guardians of the Galaxy, where they were not so silly and took it a little more seriously as kind of like and the tone of them being a little more ragtag, but still like heroes at the end of the day.
Yeah.
mhm.
Because what they did is they, a couple guys wrote these big, like, hey, nobody's doing anything interesting in the Marvel like cosmic universe, as they call it, in a long time, because it's not interesting enough to people anymore.
Yeah.
That kind of fantastical world, where
Right.
all that stuff that came up out of like the 70s and the 60s that were all established. So they kind of rebooted it in a way that made it like, oh well, there's all these like different X-Men crossovers of big stories, and Civil War and this or that. And the same time that they introduced Civil War, they had a what was called Annihilation, where they had this guy that looked like a giant like green like pterodactyl guy named Annihilus, basically like want to destroy the whole world or the whole universe, and they kind of made it be a cool Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy. They weren't just a bunch of weird guys hanging out together. It was like, oh, let's actually have them have that kind of Dirty Dozen ragtag bunch of group of guys, and that's pretty much the tone that that this movie and they've been going forward with, of more interesting characters, because literally it was like a lot of just weird space stuff, like and even like Star-Lord was like kind of different incarnations that felt more like some sort of gay space pirate, like just flamboyant weird stuff, instead of having and like no I don't even mean like just it was like flamboyant weird superhero, no like good backstory to him,
Right.
where
Well,
at least
in this, there's not that much backstory. It's this. Oh, now we jump ahead.
They just have a cliffhanger of what he could be at the end. But...
Right.
well I was pretty sure they were going to kind of like not deal a whole lot with the but they relaunched the comic starting last year in anticipation of this movie, and the whole main thing is that, and it's been at least since like that the last couple years, is that he's like the son of like a big like king of like a whole like galaxy kingdom area,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like a bastard child from when the guy was like a young kid, or when he was like a prince and he crash landed on Earth, and he basically knocked up some girl that was helping him fix his like spaceship, and so he's technically like a prince of this whole kingdom.
Right.
So he finds that out and kind of rejects all that, and so that's kind of why like in the comics he's got a cool gun that like only he can use, because it only like uses the DNA of that like heritage of like kings.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of cool in that way, because they can always keep going back to he's got a bad relationship with his dad, and his dad is this big powerful guy that like owns half the universe.
Yeah.
So it makes it like just him, that makes it a lot more interesting than him being like some sort of generic guy that just ended up in space.
And I
Right.
think the dad's title was something like Star-Lord or something like that. which is probably why his mom would call him that.
Correct. Yeah. So it's, I didn't think they were going to try to introduce that into the movie right away.
They didn't really touch too much on it until just a brief little comment at the end.
Yeah, because I figured, you know what, like they can go in a different direction. They can,
Yeah.
do what they want with it to make it, it's always easier to have more backstory and, pathos and all that other stuff after you, like in a second movie, after you've already introduced, the character and had some fun with it. I mean, that's why Captain America 2 is better, and with the exception of Iron Man 2, most of them are usually better when you kind of have to get out of the way that, like, origin story part.
Right.
Well, speaking of second movies, new Godzilla.
Right.
That sounds cool.
With Mothra and Rodan.
I like the thing that I'm like, okay, well, this is pretty cool. I doubt they could ever go that route, but I think I like the idea that the Legendary Pictures owns like all the, like, they're doing the King Kong movie, they do Pacific Rim, they have Godzilla, and that immediately when they announced all these movies, people are like, you guys should just do a movie with all them in it. And it's like, yeah, that'd be awesome, but that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But you could.
The next one is going to have...
They announced it being Mothra,
Rodan, and King Ghidorah all in the movie together.
Yeah, and that sounds really cool. And the whole, like, Skull Island sounds cool. And I think the one story I read, they have some other property. Like, they're trying to bring a lot of, like, old school movie, like, monster movie stuff back.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool, even if they don't try to make some sort of, like, one universe where you're going to all of a sudden see, like, Pacific Rim, Jaeger is, like, fighting Godzilla. Just the idea that, like, they're recognizing you can make interesting movies that are big like that,
That would be super cool if they did.
I still want a Cloverfield too.
Me too.
I don't know.
That's not going to happen, I don't think. It's been too long.
Have you watched it recently?
You know what? I think just not too long ago I watched a CinemaSins of it, and I was like, yeah, it really doesn't hold up very well as it should.
Because we rewatched it recently and it wasn't that bad. It's good for, like, if you watch it as, like, a documentary, like, as, like, you're watching it like this person happened, like a YouTube video.
Right.
Like, it got uploaded automatically because the phone died or the camera died or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. I just feel like they lost me at the end when the monster was kind of dumb to me, and it looked weird, and it just didn't feel like it's very similar to what they did, like what I ended up feeling after watching that other J.J. Abrams movie,
Right.
Which one?
Super 8?
Yes, that. Yeah. Like, you're like, oh, you did a lot of, like, good build-up, and then you kind of screwed it up in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, that Super 8, it was a very weird movie. I still don't even know how to put my finger on that.
Which is, like, I mean, those are good examples of movies and why people have, even when with the when they announced Star Trek, we're like, or even after he did Star Trek, we're still like, man, he really doesn't seem to have the credibility because he keeps making movies that are other people's movies.
Exactly. Like, he loves seeing it and being like, I could do that better. And I could do that better. And you know what? That could be better too. Never does he have, like, his little ideas and wants to run with them. He always wants to make somebody else's idea better.
Right.
Which kind of is a jerky thing to do, to be honest.
Well, I mean, he's not the first person. Like, I mean, it's been basically at least since the early 70s that there have been directors who have literally stolen other people's, like, like tried, like they literally been like acting like people in film school. They're like, oh, I want to make a Steven Spielberg movie, so I'm gonna make like a Steven Spielberg movie, but it's
It's mine.
even
No,
like
yeah.
Brian De Palma, who did like The Untouchables, and he's done a bunch of good movies, like a bunch of his movies from the 70s that have like there's one movie with John Travolta that I can't think of. Like he did a bunch of like kind of like thrillers in the like late 70s, and they're all like rip-offs of like Hitchcock, like directly, like shot for shot kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, one, they don't care as long as they can say it's a remake. It doesn't matter.
Well, they weren't even remake. It was just like, oh, we're gonna take a different story but have that tone. So
Right.
it's not like really surprising that like that there's that kind of you could sell a movie that feels I mean that Super 8's a good example. I mean, it says like, hey, Steven Spielberg hasn't made a movie that's felt like a Steven Spielberg movie in a long time. So yeah, go ahead and make it because people will go see it because they like remember that. I mean, they could probably do the same. They could probably get a reboot of like Indiana Jones if somebody did it and said we're basically just going to kind of remake it and have the same vibe as the original one.
Right.
Like Earth to Echo.
Oh, good God. Have you seen those trailers?
No, it looked pretty. Well, I saw one trailer and I was like, yeah, that looks pretty bad.
It's like a ripoff as a robot E.T. or something.
That is
Right.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I'll show you my Slimer I got.
Oh, he's
Oh,
waving.
I like that. He's so cute. Look at his little teeth.
Yeah, he was cool in the animated one
He's cool
that they had on the
together.
Fox.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Have all
Yeah. I've been getting the having my local comic shop grab. I've been getting the Ghostbusters comic for me because like he grabbed a couple like and nobody was buying them, so he's only getting it for me basically. And so I get the subscription cover every month and actually they're ending it after two more issues and then they're ending it. But like I get the subscription covers, and the last 3 subscription covers have all been covers based off the cartoon. And it's like, as much as I like the cartoon, like all those characters on the cartoon didn't really look like the people in the movie.
Yeah,
so it's like, or no, and one of the covers, and I was almost like, if I wish he had had extra, because I would have been like, can you just send this back and I'll take the other one? Because it was an Angry Birds mashup of Ghostbusters.
Oh.
And it's like,
Good.
I hate the Angry Birds thing. So why do I want this?
I don't want any of this.
And it's not like it's going to be popular in 20 years because the only people that would care about Angry Birds were like little kids.
Right.
So it's not going to be like a cool variant cover that anyone's going to care about.
Cool cover. Because we're all like, oh, God, that's horrible.
But yeah, I'm going to go back tomorrow and I'll reuse my coupon and I'll probably grab you like one of the Game of Thrones ones. I still have to get, so the only I have to get left now is the Winston that comes with the car, and then I have to just try to get some of the variants that are cool, and I think they'll still have to be available for people. Like there's variants that include like a 2-pack that's got Slimer and Vakeman, and he looks all slimed. There's one that's a variant that includes all 4 of them in one package, and they're all covered in like marshmallow.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably try to get them all. So, if you see any of that stuff at that JM retail, if they have any of those like variants like that for any reason, just check and let me know. They're probably kind of like expensive, but I doubt they're gonna have any. They might have some like Comic-Con like variants, but
It's possible.
But I wish I had like realized that the one retailer that had most of those Ghostbusters variants, they had a pre-order for them, and
Oh,
I didn't realize that because I figured it would be you had to go to Comic Con to get them, and
right.
then they would like 6 months later if they still had anything, or like a month later they would try to sell it on their site for like really high prices kind of thing, in case they didn't sell any for some reason, or
Right.
they would be one of those, well, we're going to announce some, I figured Funko would be like, oh, we'll announce all these variants, we sell them at Comic-Con, and then like a couple months later, we'll like everybody be able to grab them, but they'll be like higher priced,
Right.
and
Like normal.
yeah, so just kind of like a, bait and switch kind of deal. I just figured that would be how they did it. So I didn't think anybody would be pre-ordering any of them.
You
So,
thought wrong.
Yeah, you thought wrong.
yeah.
They said, ha 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 ha, Nate.
And the funny part is that looking at like, especially how much I've looked at Comic-Con the last couple weeks, that other than panels, I guess, and maybe signings to some degree too, like that's the only reason to actually go to Comic-Con and not feel like you've wasted your time is to be able to get those exclusives, because
Yeah.
even though like, and I'm talking like all the companies of like anything toy or comic related, that's the reason a lot of these retailers go, because they're only allowed to buy like one or two, and they have to go there to get them. My guy here, he went last week, and he brought back maybe like a dozen things total, and that was all he could get.
Huh.
And the only reason he went, and that was based on that he's a retailer and he can actually reserve those. So he kind of purchase them, like, I think it's like a kind of a diamond, if you have agreements with certain companies.
Right.
So it's not like he can go and buy a bunch of stuff for his friends too.
Good God.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, I mean, that's cool that you got all that stuff and you went, and but it's like, it doesn't seem very appealing to retailers to go and get a bunch of stuff. Cool.
Right.
But I mean, and it's like, so, because it was like, well, there's plenty that's not on site.
Right.
So it's like, that'd be the only reason it seems like to actually go and pay for a badge at all, is to maybe get these exclusive stuff.
Right. Well, that and, like Geek and Sundry and the Nerdist had a ton of stuff going on that
Like,
you didn't need a badge or anything for.
No, they had stuff going on. They had that Nerd HQ, which is like a whole weekend thing that's like a fundraiser. I mean, basically everybody tries to have something, if they're big enough, they have something going on off-site. Now, whether it's things you can get into or not, especially at the parties,
Right.
not true. But like all during the day, they had like a Game of Thrones. The whole weekend, they had a Game of Thrones exhibit. I mean, they had a thing going on where like you could go and get in line and get like food that's got bugs in it to promote some like cartoon movie called Box Trolls that featured like the voice of Bronn from Game of Thrones.
Oh, wow.
And that's like, you could just stand in line and like get it, and maybe you get to take a picture with him and get to meet him. I mean, there's all that kind of stuff where there's only so much they can fit inside, and so lots of people do stuff
Outside.
around there. And because it's downtown, there's lots of venues that are around it to support that, as opposed to a lot of other places where it's hard to do that because either the convention center is so isolated, or it's like a DragonCon where there's lots of hotels and then nothing else
Right.
to support that kind of thing.
San Diego, right?
What's that?
It's in San Diego?
Correct.
Yeah, it's downtown. There's a lot of venues. There's a lot of stuff in San Diego.
I mean, yeah, like you said, the Nerdist had not only their whole little HQ, but they had that Borderlands like laser tag on top of like the top layer of the Petco Park. Like The Walking Dead had like a walk-through area that you could do that whole thing. I think there was, I'm trying to think, but there was plenty that you could just kind of find that you would never have had to buy a badge.
Right. So why would you like? No, I understand going and seeing it and experiencing it, but I mean, if we lived there, I wouldn't see the want to go more than once
Right.
into Comic-Con. I'd rather stand outside to see the people cosplaying going in. But
Right.
dealing with the lines, dealing with the crowds of people that you see, the massive crowds of people,
Right.
that's too much. I'd rather do the smaller off-campus.
Right. Yeah, I mean, other than, like, it sounded like there's enough, it sounds like there's a potential for, like, a good and bad experience with, like, some of the autograph stuff, because it's like a ticket system and a wristband, so that sounds like it's not horrible, that you're not, like, going to be standing in line for 5 hours just for somebody's autograph.
Right.
But yes, there's no way, and I understand why they have to do this, but I'm kind of shocked that goes on, because I'm doing the math going, how do people do this? Is that Hall H where most of the main stuff goes on, not only do people line up the night before, but then once you're in, like, you can stay there all day.
Right.
And I understand they can't, like, literally make 6,000 people, like, come in and out in between all these panels to make that work, but I'm kind of at the same time going, dang, that's crazy, because everybody else does move people in and out of things, so.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's time for them to start thinking a little larger scale.
Yeah, and they've talked about, like, moving up to Anaheim because, like, that's got a bigger venue. But, you know, as long as they still seem to make that Hall H a spectacle, then people are going to, like, you know, make it crazy, you know.
Right.
Where it's that exclusivity to seeing something, you know, cool that in a lot of cases is still, you either have to read about it, because it's not a situation where, like, they show it to everybody and then 2 hours later it's online. You know, like the Superman, Batman stuff, they didn't post it anywhere online.
They weren't allowed to
right.
film it at all.
Right, but like other people that had stuff, like, you know, at the panel, I think like Mad Max, for example, you know, Monday morning you could watch, like, the footage, you know. I think they said, what was it I was reading about? There was something that it wasn't the Avengers stuff. There was something that they actually, like, showed, like, twice. I can't remember what it was, but, like, I mean, they showed, like, I think you know, like, pretty much every year at least something they show, like, an entire pilot of, or like half of an episode of something there.
Right.
And then they, you know, it's months before they actually officially release it, like, to anybody else, or wait until it premieres in a lot of cases.
Well, last year they showed part of the Doctor Who thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah, that's true. That's a good example, yeah. But the only problem, I think, is that other than reading about it, like, you go to some site and be like, you know, somebody's live tweeting about it or live blogging about it or describing it, I think they keep assuming that, like, this is, like, a chance to show it off and, like, get some buzz going.
Right.
But all these things I've read, like, that I've, you know, like the Superman little clip, no one's really provided their opinion of, like, oh yeah, it's awesome now and I approve of, like, everything based on, like, one clip. It's almost like they think that they're, like, somehow gaining buzz, but they're not really. They're just feeding, like, us wanting to know more.
Well, because they put out the Wonder Woman.
Right, that's a good example, yeah.
But then was like, okay, everybody will love this. All I read were horrible comments and horrible reviews on it.
Right.
If you wanted to do more, you should have done posters for the thing, at least.
Right. Well, yeah,
that's
and it's become a lot of, you know, just because we show it, like, you should like it kind of thing. Right. Especially at like, it's become now a business that I don't think they really care what, like, that there's just people there that will, like, tweet about it or, like, report about it. Not so much that they're making fans happy. At least a lot of the companies are still like that. Marvel, I think, has actually figured out, like, okay, like a good example would be that whole, all that stuff about those pictures of Wonder Woman. Not so much that they showed it and like they didn't, got good and bad press, but they had those three. They had him, or like the Superman and Ben Affleck and the girl there. They didn't talk at all on their
Right.
panel. Like, wait, really? Like, why wouldn't they talk? Like, that's dumb. Like,
Right. They're there. What's the point of that? To have them just
right.
there? It does nothing but show that you, as the creators and as the studio, I'm assuming who would make them be quiet about it, say, well, we're here, so obviously it's going to be good.
Right.
And you should like it because you're in our presence at this point.
Right.
Which does nothing but piss the fans off because you think you're better than us.
Right. And looking into it, especially like it's interesting because there are I've seen a lot of people that I follow like on YouTube or Facebook or what of different organizations covering that Hall H stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't necessarily know if you guys are a fan of, especially Marvel and DC. Like, that's not what you guys usually do stuff about, and yet you're there covering it. Like,
Right.
There's a lot of that. Like, it feels like half that like room is like press.
Right, and they write about certain things but not about others, and so they're going to say, it looks good to me. It doesn't mean that it's going to be good. Like, I shouldn't go in and review anything DC.
Right.
Or have an opinion on it besides I don't like that costume. I've rarely ever read the comic books.
Well, even like
I don't
the one.
think I've owned more than like 4 at all.
Right. And yeah, I mean, if you had a bunch of Wonder Woman fans, like in that entire room for that panel,
Right.
you would have had a different reaction, I think, than if you had a bunch of, guys that were like DC fans.
Right.
Not because of like sexism, but I think the women would go, okay, that's not like, or because of like gender expectations, because the women would all be like, yeah, that looks pretty badass, and like it's not like what are bad Wonder Woman things, where her boobs are just hanging out and she's wearing
Right.
like.
Well, that was because a lot of the comments I saw in some of the websites that I follow, they were saying that her costume covers pretty much, but how is she going to run in 4-inch wedged heels, which is a good thing that I noticed. It makes her look almost like a twig because she's on stiletto heels.
I didn't even notice the stilettos.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was one of the first things that I saw, and apparently a lot of other women saw. And she looks like a twig.
Well, and a lot of people I know like kind of said like, oh, it looks like Xena from like 10 years ago, like look.
Yeah, it does.
But at the same time, I got a kind of feeling like maybe that's not like the final version, and they felt like they had to show something.
From what
I've
some people said it was before Justice League.
Yeah, it's before, so it's before she becomes like actually Wonder Woman.
Well, and that's the thing. I would assume they're gonna go with an angle, because the whole thing in the comics that she kind of, from the beginning, the reason she had that kind of American thing is not that she was American, is that she was like an ambassador to America from this like Amazonian people. So she kind of was like, well, maybe people will like me better as a representation of our culture if I look like Captain America, basically, kind of feel like, instead of wearing like if she was wearing like her armor and everything, people would be like, oh, she's some sort of like, warrior that wants to hunt us all down. Oh no, I'm going to be some sort of superhero that reflects America, like Superman. Then people will like, not be tense about it. So I just assume they're going with the more, well, that she's just some sort of warrior, so why wouldn't she kind of have like a more battle vibe? But I kind of feel like it's not the finished thing because of what you said, is that it doesn't look like it was meant to fit her.
Right. It doesn't. It just doesn't look like her.
Like it looks like they just strapped, they literally look like they bought Xena's outfit and just put it on her and didn't make it, like she doesn't look like she's ever worn the thing in that picture. Like
right, like she doesn't know the character. She doesn't understand what she's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it's got that vibe.
Right. She hasn't worn that more than the time. Like that's the very first picture.
Right.
And look, she looks uncomfortable in it. And maybe she might be great in the movie, I don't know. But my first impressions are a lot, and I certainly don't think we'll see it within the first 2 weeks.
And he's not had a good track record with his women, how he treats women in movies. So it may be him playing it safe so he doesn't piss anybody off too.
That's true.
He's got a misogynistic streak to his women, unfortunately, in movies.
He does. That's true.
Whether on purpose or not, but I mean, you can't really say that. If you wanted to be like, oh, he would make Wonder Woman, and you just based it off what he did in Sucker Punch, then it's not exactly a record that you're like, oh yeah, I'm actually surprised she has clothes on, basically.
You're surprised it's not just a bra and panties.
So hold on, let me answer this. Hello. Okay. Well, we're live on YouTube right now. Hi. We'll probably call it, when we can figure out what we're doing. Okay, sounds good. Bye. What?
Live.
Yeah, I know. Whatever.
Live on YouTube right now. Like
nobody, literally, no. If there's anybody watching, then shock to me.
Me too. I will be shocked.
Like, I didn't post this to anything. I just figured, hey, maybe we'll It's like when she was playing around with Twitch the other day, when she had because she had a couple days off after we got back from Northern Michigan, so she was doing some Twitch testing on her PC, and then she bought the remastered Last of Us for PS4. So she was downstairs, and I'm like, well, I'm working, so I'm just gonna watch her Twitch thing so I can at least see the game.
Right.
And a couple times I'm like, wait a minute, she's got 3 or 4 people viewing.
Yeah, one of them I went to see what it was because
did you?
Every time you do it, yeah. And I noticed there was another person watching. I was like, look, there's a whole other person.
So I'm like, somebody might have just been literally looking up Last of Us. So
they're like, I'll watch this one.
So if somebody is watching based on that they Googled Tampa Bay Comic Con tonight on YouTube, then maybe.
Right, and if you are watching this, I'm wearing this shirt tomorrow. Please find me and tell me. I will give you a hug.
Actually, according to this, we actually do have 0 viewers. So.
Right. Okay, well, woo for us. From my very first. You butthead.
Plus with a hole in it.
It's where I stuff it, you asshole.
But you guys are going back to DragonCon though, real quick, just for forgetting we call it a night. You guys are pretty much good with everything else. There's nothing else you're concerned too much with. Got everything else.
I don't have my Luffy costume made all the way.
Oh, yeah, but isn't that pretty that's not it's like a hat and some clothes.
You know how hard it is to find that hat?
Oh my god.
That's true.
One, that is intense. Also, I have to get a wig. My hair's not black.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Right. And I have to figure out how to get the wig to not be crazy. And then the hat. And I put a thing around it to make the red. And I have to make the red shirt. It has little ruffles at the end.
Oh. So are you doing it as if you're going to look like a guy or like a female?
A gender bend. So I'm doing the female version of Luffy.
Oh, okay. Which is still very similar, I guess, other than maybe the hair.
There's no way I'm going to be able to do this.
She can't hide those.
That's true. Well, I mean, you could just I guess in that character, yeah, you wouldn't have been able to.
I wouldn't be able to hide them unless I was under full armor.
True. Yeah, that's true.
And I maybe ace bandaged them down.
I don't think that probably.
Maybe.
But I didn't know if you were gonna do it less feminized, you would still have his hair, kind of thing. But if you're doing more
there's a lady cosplayer, Mistake, that does the Mel Luffy.
Mm-hmm.
And she does it well. She just has shorter shorts on.
Oh, okay.
Damn it, you got me tossing him up in the air now, you ass.
Don't toss him. Don't toss your very first octopus.
I know. It's actually not my first.
Well, hopefully you guys see some good cosplayers tomorrow.
I hope so.
That black guy will probably be there.
I hope that cool black guy's there.
Which cool black guy?
The black guy that we met at MegaCon last year. He gets paid to cosplay. I want to find out who pays him to cosplay.
Wait, what?
I like how you perked up. Cosplay pay? What?
Wait, you mean the guy that had like was doing like the one anime that had like the big sword thing? He gets paid?
Yeah, he got paid. It was like, what, $1,800?
He showed me the check.
Yeah, we saw the check.
He got paid by MegaCon?
No, by a different company that pays people to go to take pictures with people. Just go walk around and enjoy the con. You don't decline taking pictures with anybody.
That's weird. I understand people being like guests.
MegaCon probably third parties them out to ensure people cosplay to be there. But it doesn't matter either way. I want to find out who that is.
Yeah, that seems like a waste of money. Like, it's one thing to like pay, like have guests like of the con that maybe do panels or like have a booth or something. I'm okay with that, you know, but to have like them be anonymous that they're like that they are being paid but just walking around, you know, because wouldn't you want if somebody's good enough to get paid, like some of the ones, you know, that are now as guests, I would assume they would be good enough that you would want to ask them like questions and stuff.
Those people like Jessica and Gary, Heather, you know, Vampy. Vampy's not sponsored. Vampy has her own business and she does it for fun. She's not sponsored like everybody else. But Jessica and Gary, you know, who's the chick that does that has the internship with Blizzard?
Monica Lee.
Monica Lee. Heather, they're sponsored by people. Nas, PWS.
Right. But they're paid like on an individual basis. So like I know that Jessica, like she did like a Borderlands thing last week. They obviously paid her. Like everybody that like half the cosplayers that are known were like dressing up as like Assassin's Creed last week for Comic-Con. You can't tell me those people were not either paid or given something to promote that thing, whether they liked that game or not. But
they're paid by the third party to do it, and then they're sponsored by, you know, if they take pictures with people at their booth, they have, you know, 2 or 3 NOS cans. They have, so they're sponsored by several things, and there's more than one booth that also sponsor them. So that's how they do it. But he was paid to take pictures with people who attend, so that they don't charge to take pictures, and to ensure that everybody has a good time. Because you know how some people are like, oh no, I don't want to take pictures with you. Yeah, you can take pictures with me, no problem. Why don't I take a picture with you? To make sure everybody has a good time, make sure, you know, everyone's okay. Yeah.
Sure. Stuff. That seems like a low priority. That's like a misplaced priority on their part. Then, if that is true, then because there's plenty of people cosplaying, and there's plenty more people that could like you could put money towards like more booths of any sort. And it's kind of like when you like have. It'd be like if they had hired a bunch of like lookalikes, because there's probably whole lookalike organizations in Orlando, I'm sure. It'd be like if they did that, you know, and just randomly had those people walking around. Like, why would you need that? Like, there's like it's not gonna like unless it's like literally like obvious things like Indiana Jones or like every Disney character. Why would you pay like somebody to do like some obscure like or half-known anime character?
Well, it said that he could. From what I remember the check that he could cosplay anything.
Oh, could he?
As long as he cosplayed and took photos with people. He said that as long as he didn't decline anybody, he can't decline anybody part of his contract. That he would have to ask to take pictures with people who look like they haven't taken pictures with, and make sure that people that didn't look like they're having a good time were having a good time. So it must be that they have had people before when it first started complaining that nobody wanted to take pictures with me.
Yeah.
People cosplaying aren't taking pictures. All I want to do is I want to go and have a good time. I don't have money to do anything. I spend all my money getting into the con. I can't purchase anything. All I do is want to take pictures, and nobody takes pictures with me. I would think that throwing $5,000, $6,000 out there to make sure people have a good time would be worth it.
Yeah, but that's like one of a gazillion. I mean, because that's what I'm saying. Like, why not just pay for a few extra known people that go to cons where, like, I mean, that's the big appeal I know of, like, watching, like, Heroes of Cosplay and, like, people like Yaya is that because they're so well known and appreciated in that community, they have a booth and people actually go and, like, can get their picture with them, and she's completely cool with that. She's not going to say no to that because that's weird.
Yeah. She charges. Well, I don't know if she does. Vampy doesn't. Vampy charges for pictures with her.
Oh,
you can take pictures of her. They charge for pictures, signed pictures. And I mean, I wouldn't take a picture with Vampy. I would take a picture of Vampy.
Sure.
I mean, and think about it. You're gonna want to take a picture. Not every average person is gonna want to take a picture of somebody that has the best costume ever, or is the best looking because next to them you could look horrible. I mean, I'm trying to think of a person.
Yeah, that's very odd. I wonder what kind of norm that is, because that's a very, like, misplaced trust in your own product. That you're like, it's kind of like, it's like literally like hiring people like to literally be happy, like, at a party. I mean, and like mingle with people. Like, it just seems odd to me.
Have your friend. I would like pay your best friend to come and do stuff. Make sure you please. I will give you $30 if you come to my fucking birthday party.
Yeah, that's odd. I mean, and especially on the scale. If it was like the first, like, Tampa Con, or you were like some small con, like somewhere that's like just starting up, and that maybe you thought that would guarantee like a good atmosphere. But on the scale of MegaCon, that just seems like a waste of money.
On the scale of MegaCon, yeah. Like,
yeah.
I couldn't see Comic-Con doing something like that because they do have so many cosplayers that go that aren't at a booth for something. They just go to go. Like, Jessica Nagiri goes with Monica Lee just to go, and they dress up and take pictures with people, not to sell anything because they can't.
Yeah. I mean, that's DragonCon's gotten really well known because people, like, kind of go to, like, show off really either out there or, like, really put some time into, like, cosplay, even if it's not, like, the most popular thing, you know.
So probably not DragonCon, but something like MegaCon, where, I mean, we've been to that several times. That is not the DragonCon of cosplay.
No, that's true. But at the same time, it's just thinking about if you paid somebody $1,800 and you compounded that by, like, you would at least need maybe 10 people for that to be even a significant worthwhile of time. That's almost $20,000 that you could have gotten another guest or had enough expense to have like 2 extra, like, volunteers working, like, or an extra, like, credit card machine to have a quicker line. Like, it seems,
or to have, well, in my thought process, benches.
It just seems like it's like if they were like, oh, well, we got $20,000 for advertising. Let's put up like a billboard for MegaCon in northern Michigan. Like, what? Like, no.
No, don't do that. Bad idea. Well, I'm not gonna lie. If we find out where that was, would you turn down a check to go and do it?
No, that's the sad part. I probably wouldn't.
You would not turn a check down for that. That's what I'm saying. Would we take advantage of such a thing? Absolutely.
Right. That is probably true. But I would also be like, my immediate reaction would be similar to when I recently had a discussion with my friend's girlfriend, whose family owns most of the theaters in northern Michigan, and their kind of crazy uncle is, like, in charge of a bunch of it, and, like, they don't even. I found out, and I'm like, really, you guys? I literally told her, I'm like, that you're wasting money or opportunity because they have like the beforehand ads in the movies thing where it's like a local thing. They're just running ones that they had, like, gotten from, like, made agreements with people like 5 years ago. So they're not actually literally getting any money from it anymore.
They just keep on doing it?
They just keep running like the same like ones that they still have on a CD of like some like churches and a couple like like chiropractor type places and stuff.
Yeah, they're losing.
Some of them may not even be in business anymore. Like, and that's my immediate reaction goes to, you're not very good at marketing. And I would probably say the same thing to like the MegaCon people. I'm like, you guys are wasting your money, and yes, I will take it, but I'm gonna take it.
After I cash this, I'm gonna tell you what I think about it.
Right. I don't
I'm
know.
gonna go cash this. I'll be back in 2 hours to tell you what I think about you doing that.
Right. Exactly. So.
Is this not a good idea?
No. But I mean, everybody has. That's why I don't understand why some of these, like DragonCon, is all like based on volunteers and a very small like organization itself. So I understand why they're kind of a government-like entity. There's going to be some cracks of miscommunication always. The more it's run by love by fans. But these other ones like MegaCon and Tampa Bay Con, when they have major hiccups, I don't understand why. Because there should be enough actual people and most of them seem to all own more than one con. They should see these things coming at this point.
You should see this. Speaking of different cons, and I know this is random, have you looked up Walker Stalker Con at all?
We have looked at it a bunch just because I think I have them on the Facebook, and I think we heard about it since last year, and I don't remember how we kind of got. I think I found it because I literally stumbled across it like earlier this winter when there was one. Oh.
Look, Houdini! It's your twin! I don't like it. He is fatter than me. Put me down. I don't like it. Oh, look how cute he is. He's like the fat version of Fancy.
So I've been saying they've been like blowing up like crazy, and they're another one that's like DragonCon, where it literally was just a couple guys who had a podcast, and they started like going to conventions, stalking all the like Walking Dead people, and they're like, you know what, we want to have like a Walking Dead only one. And before they knew it, they literally have like one every other like month, it seems like that. So whatever they're doing, apparently they're doing it right.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you see the amount of people that are going to them, and because I think we're going to end up going to the one in Orlando.
Oh, is there an Orlando one? I didn't even see that.
Yeah, well, it just recently was added, and 4 or 5 people confirmed it very quickly. I was like, this is sweet.
Yeah.
Beth confirmed it.
Yeah, I think we're going to go in late like Halloween weekend. We're going to go to Wizard World Columbus because we were talking about at least trying to go to that one at some point because it's closer, and we know some people we want to try to finally get to some cons. I know people in Columbus. I know people in Dayton that'll drive up. But then we looked like one day we were like waiting for our food at like a restaurant forever, and we looked at the guest lists, and because Wizard World has like the buying power to get a lot of people.
Right.
There were a lot of good people. Like, oh yeah, some of them we've seen before, but Teresa kind of went crazy because they had one of the girls from Charmed.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so a bunch of people from Charmed, and there were a couple other people. I'm like, oh, that's cool, and it's far enough out. They probably will keep adding people. So.
Well, if Tuvok is there, you have to stalk Tuvok first.
Yeah, I'll have to look. I have to look at the site again. I hadn't looked at it much. I was kind of like, I didn't want to like get too excited about it because I'm like, I want to survive DragonCon and be excited about that.
And before you get run down.
Well, just more like I want to, have a lot of fun with that, and they're still obviously adding people, and it's kind of like as it gets closer, it's like, oh yeah, there's this person I do want to kind of see now. Like, they added Adam Baldwin from like Firefly, and like Chuck, and he's on that last ship right now, and it's like so they keep adding people that are cool that make me go, well, that's one more person I want to see that I may not get to see somebody else.
Right.
Because like they announced, just a couple weeks ago, like that guy, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy will be there, which is really awesome. But who knows in what capacity he'll be there? If he's going to just be there for a panel, will he have like signings of anything? Because I've been following him for a long time, so and that might. So that's, I mean, to some degree, that's a pretty big deal for them to get somebody Marvel related like that.
Right.
Because most of those Marvel type things are like the DC people or those big kind of studio stuff. Most of them, they are being required to get paid pretty much. Mm-hmm. So you only see them at like a lot of wizard type things, or like that's why there's people at Game of Thrones are at Tampa Con, but they're not at DragonCon because they're expected to be paid basically.
Right.
And
they need to get paid for their time.
Right. And DragonCon pretty much doesn't pay people, so I mean there has not been any Game of Thrones people there at all at this point. Like at least the last 3 years, the 3 years we've been there, and obviously it's a pretty popular show, and they're at a lot of other things, so
yeah,
it's based on policy that they're not. So I think it's very cool that he's going to be there, just because it kind of dips into that, something big that's got some, weight to it, I guess. Especially since they don't have any Walking Dead people, which is weird too.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm excited for that. So I just know that's probably one of those things that I'll be waiting for, a long time to get into that panel, if not to like meet him or, anything like that.
Yeah.
But considering that's probably one of the few chances I will get to be around and like meet anybody that's from some of these Marvel movies, I will definitely probably want to do that. Definitely, probably.
I'm in the right store. I'm stupid.
Huh?
Do not shake your head and agree with me that I'm stupid. I hate you.
So, okay, well, we're going to call it good because I'm going to get some food at this point. And, yeah, just keep me posted about the rest of the weekend. Like I said, I plan on doing very little. So,
okay.
Or not planning on doing very little. I'm not going to be, like, gone out doing stuff. And.
Okay, well, if you want something to do, you can always enter all of my Albertson stores into your website.
Why do you have to do that? Why can't you just export them something from... Wait a minute, is that through SV Harbor?
No, it's not.
Oh,
it's not. Actual Albertsons LLC, because they just this week decided we were going to do it because they didn't want to do it anymore, and they suck.
Wait a minute, why do you have Albertsons LLC that far west?
Because they bought them all out. Did you ever have CNS stores?
Do I do what?
Did you ever have CNS?
When I did stuff with Steve, I believe.
Do you remember having to go through everything, and at the end you had to sit there and put in every single date separately?
If I recall, when I did stuff for Steve that was related to the Northwest, a lot of the stuff that he gave us, we had to put a date back in and send them all.
Yes. Yeah. This is basically that in a website, and it is horrible.
Oh, okay.
Also, I was scheduling a CNS store today. They gave me the incorrect permissions. I now have their admin permissions, and I can decline other companies' schedules.
That's awesome.
I can say they cannot do their resets, but I cannot put in my own dates.
Do it. Delete everything.
I would delete your people. I mean, everything's insane at this point. I don't even know what to do. Steve's just like, on Monday we'll figure it out. We'll just tell them to wait. Everything is just so awful.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you're needing something to do, either that or you can help me with SCOP.
No, not if it's the SoCal way, because they're all like got some retarded thing where they're like, oh, we'll use every person every place, and it's like, I know they want to be like efficient, but like just have a bunch of teams that cover like each, set of stores. There's no reason to. These people are not driving that far.
Kathy cut a lot of the driving, and then when I came over, I cut the driving. I said nobody's driving over 30 miles, and I am not after I schedule something, I'm done. I'm not rescheduling anything. I have scheduled the 150 stores for the category resets. I am done. I closed it.
Well, no, I just mean like when I had the Chicago SCOP, it was basically each night or each like set of stores were like a team.
Right.
And they were all in Chicago. These people weren't driving far enough to justify like the efficiency thing that they were, wanting out of it, like the SoCal people. Like, yes, if you were going to like, a Safeway like in the middle of Illinois, you would want to use some people that are close. But that's not where those kind of stores are.
Right.
And I would assume the same it's in SoCal. Just have the people go to the same store every week. There is no justification not to.
In my opinion. They do that in NorCal. NorCal, they go to the same stores every month. It's always the same stores. For some reason in SoCal, they don't do that. I don't know why. They love their travel time.
Well, no, they like the idea that these people are like can do everything, and you can have them do all kinds. Like they're a rep only. They're not an SCOP rep, and I get that. Except that's not what anybody else's expectation is.
Right. They can either they are a rep or they are not a rep, is what I was told today. Yeah. And they can't have it both ways. And I understand the idea behind it. But if they are an SCOP rep, they're an SCOP rep. If they have the SCOP tag, I'm not scheduling them for anything else because they're an SCOP rep.
Right, and that's what was happening is a lot of places were doing that. If one guy covered a store, like it was on there was an SCOP team, they might travel like a little too far each night to a place because they were following basically like one like Safeway guy or whatever, like his team. And I understood, like, yeah, obviously you don't want all that driving, but at the same time, the only reason, like, it's a very thin line of the relationship we have with this whole like SCOP thing, and so it kind of makes sense, especially now that I've been away from it. You would want like the same people going every week because you have those relationships with that store. I mean,
right.
We have all our sales teams we do now. They sometimes have people cover like a Walmart that's a little further out because that person's been covering that store as a territory for 5 years, and yeah, they might actually get like an extra like display out of it because they know the Walmart guy, like the manager, for 5 years.
Right, and I wish AMS would understand that because they have switched up their clusters and their territories now 4 times in the past 5 months, and they don't understand why everybody is getting so angry. Right. These Walgreens reps have been covering these stores now for almost 2 years. When you take them away from them and you only give them 2 stores when they were before having 10 and 12, everybody is going to get mad and Walgreens is going to pull out of the contract. Right.
So, I mean, I understand it from both ways, but I mean, it's kind of like, it's just a lot of, you shouldn't,
you would not understand it.
That's not something you should be like manually scheduling that much. Just have a bunch of teams. If the person you more likely should want to change somebody because they piss off the team lead guy than anything else.
Right. These are changes. I have pasted in SCOP a long time ago. These are only changes.
Right. Exactly. It's just. Yeah.
And just for today.
Right.
That's just how much I hate them.
I understand. So, okay, well, we're going to call it good. So.
All right. Have a good night.
Have a good one. Talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Bye.